right, guys, it's 6 PM on the computer. So I will call the meeting to order. Hurry up, Keith. And we will hope that Renee is able to join us on Zoom, which is her plan. I would ask, there he is. I would ask Rachel and to take roll call. And I would make announcement. The Community Development Authority Board will convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C of the Wisconsin statutes for purposes of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Discussing compensation and promotion of an employee and pursuant to section 19.851E of the Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Negotiation and offer to purchase and with DeForest Car Wash Limited Liability. All right, guys. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appearances, are there any? No. Okay, guys, thanks. New business, presentation, discussion of Attic Angel Management Services LLC. I bet you that's you. Come on forward.
So,
Yeah, and press the button.
just to set a little bit of context here, the last time that they were before us was sort of a presentation about who they are. We haven't had a chance to talk with them or have them meet you guys since we've officially signed on with their services. So the thought was give them another chance to do it with a new context.
Good.
So good evening. Thank you for having me. Just to kind of give you an update of, we started September 1st and kind of where we are today. We have a director. Her name is Demry. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but Demry Wynn. She will have regular office hours on Thursdays and as needed during the week. I've been stopping by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays to look at things like work orders, making sure that there's no questions from residents. We've hired a maintenance tech. He starts next Tuesday and his hours will be 8 to 1 and he will be there Monday through Friday. So there will be a presence every day from Attic Angel on the campus. Are
Are you using the office in the community center room?
We are.
Okay.
We are. We are currently working on getting a dedicated line just for Jefferson. As I understand, the line now calls here, somebody here. So we will have a dedicated line into there and then that will be forwarded to whoever's on call and to Demry when they're not physically in the office. We have 4 maintenance staff that we will be rotating on call for weekends, holidays, and after hours. That we will start hopefully next week once we get the dedicated line, because right now residents have been used to using that other number or various ways to communicate. So we don't want to confuse them. Once that line is in, then we can go ahead and start. And you can call the line and you'll reach anybody, any of the maintenance or Demry or myself. Demry and I will always be on call in case of emergency if we need to. I live in Waunakee, so things like lockouts, I can easily get to and things like that. So that's kind of where we are. When we toured, what we'd like to do is probably, we talked about with Alex, kind of updating the clubhouse. And I know that's kind of probably on next year's or a longer range budget. We would like to probably paint the office because that's where we're going to be doing the sales meeting. So we want to have a good presentation. This week, we've been walking the community, meeting the residents. One of the units that is halfway in renovations, we've met the maintenance team and the flooring team and the painting team. We're meeting with is it Jim, the general contractor, next week. And we don't plan to change any of that. The vendors are used to the community. The residents are used to the vendors. So we will continue with that. We have changed the housekeeping services in the clubhouse. We actually contract with CleanMark and we have a commercial rate with them. And so we're able to use them in all of the properties and they have coverage. So if somebody can't come in, somebody else can come clean. So it's a nice backup system. We did let the gentleman know that his services won't be used anymore, but I think that's probably the only change that we have aside from the phone number that we're changing. Alex has been working on getting us the Wix accounts for the websites. Today I got access to the work order system. Eventually, we will be changing the work order system to it's a platform from Direct Supply. Some of you might be aware of Direct Supply in Milwaukee. They're a huge healthcare supply company, and they have a work order system such that we can actually keep track of everything that happens in a unit historically. So I could tell you in 1990, they have a new refrigerator and get all the reports and analytics from that. So it's a great system that way. Yeah, it's been a productive week so far. Before I go any further, I do want to give kudos to Jay and Alex. They have made this transition as easy and seamless as possible for us, answering questions right on emails and things. So I do want to thank them publicly for their awesome support.
That's exciting. Questions? Rebecca?
She knew
So
that was coming.
surprised.
Oh,
No,
Rebecca.
I'm Rebecca over here. No, I was really excited. I was gone when the actual vote happened, but I would have been voting in favor of it as
That's why
well.
we took the vote.
Yeah, she knows
Has
I
to be one.
am a troublemaker, okay? No, seriously though, how has the reception been from the residents?
So we did have a general resident meeting when we started. Maybe 40-ish people came in,
Okay,
which I understand is probably pretty average or pretty good. And that was really well. Over this week, we've just had people stopping by, which has been great. And that's what I imagine is probably going to happen.
as far as any concerns that people have expressed?
Just general concerns, landscaping is always, all the community is snowplow always. But aside from that, I don't know that I've heard any other
Okay.
complaints, no. Not a complaint, but they're gonna be sad to see Alex and Jay go. Yeah.
Well, reassure them if they ever want to talk to them. They're just right down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a nice bond for them, so.
yeah, well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you guys here and looking forward to what the future holds with y'all.
We are super excited and it's strange because now in the other communities that we manage, I'm hearing this name keep coming up and I don't bring it up. But it's just interesting to see. There's a lot of excitement about this community and a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
A lot of word of mouth. So it's a great community, yeah.
I got a call from Steve Regsted's wife, Tony, about their driveway. Did you guys fix their driveway?
Yeah, we had Concrete Lifting Technologies come out. Their driveway isn't scheduled to be replaced. We did every fall we do a concrete assessment, and there's last fall when Zach and I did the assessment, didn't meet requirements at that point. Whatever moved over the winter time, it probably would have this time, but we had Concrete Lifting Technologies come out and even the slabs, so that would no longer be a safety hazard.
Tony is a talker.
Okay.
And she fell and
Oh,
hurt her knee that she just got replaced. Is the story. And when I ran into her, She called and then I ran into her at the grocery store and now all of Pick and Save knows. So I wanted to make sure somebody, either
Yeah.
you or we, had gotten to her.
Yeah.
They also learned about her son getting married and
Gosh.
everything else she knew, so.
Oh, gosh. We are taking over. So as I mentioned, 720 is kind of halfway in renovations. We do have another open unit that we will do the complete renovation, and that's why we're meeting with the GC next week. So I will say, just kind of my opinion, your approach to the renovations are really leading these communities right now. Nobody's replacing cabinets. Nobody's doing to the extent that you're doing. And I think that's going to put us in a great position. So I commend you on that decision.
Rebecca?
Just a very quick, and this may have been already covered when I was gone, but we were getting, regular updates as far as units that were under renovation, that were under contract, that were not under contract. Are you going to be providing that type of information to us moving forward or not?
Yes.
I'm just curious to know.
Yes, and Alex and I talked about initially, I think it's a monthly reporting system. And I don't know if you were updating as it happened in real time or just getting a monthly report. So we can do either one, or both.
So the financials is a monthly, and we've had some coordination meetings with their finance team as well, and Carol, to kind of get, some of you were signing documents to get account access and things like that even today. So it's still an ongoing transition, but the financial statement reports will still be coming to you all. The occupancy, that's pretty simple. We can have you just generate something. We do it on a PowerPoint slide and then
Oh, sure.
turn it into a PDF. So it's pretty basic, but I think it'd still be beneficial to get that information.
And we have a whole reporting system within our organization. So I know movements in and out really on any community. And it's just a simple email group that we send out, and hey, so-and-so is moving in. So I got a notice to vacate, things like that. Just kind of giving everybody a heads up to expect something next. So we're happy to add to the email for the group.
Renee, welcome. We have Attic Angels representative here with us, and they're in the transition process. Do you have any questions about things going on? You're muted. Can you unmute her?
I don't. Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. We're glad you're here. Okay, other questions? Well, I encourage you, if you have any issues that you want the board to be aware of, to talk to Alex and then come talk to us. We're here monthly,
Wonderful.
usually the same date every month, usually,
Okay.
but you can find out.
Okay. Demery will be here at the next one. She just had some scheduling issues. So I'm excited next month for you to meet Demery.
Good.
It's really a lovely lady, so.
Good, we're excited you're here. They've had a lot to do and they got a lot more to do. Glad to have the help.
Yeah, well, thank you. Okay,
You.
thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Go sign some papers.
All right, well, here we go. Item 6.2, resolution 2024-510, authorizing executive director to submit a grant application to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corp. Through its Small Business Development Grant Program. Alex.
Yeah, so I had brought this as an agenda item at the last meeting. WEDC has started a small business development grant program. It's a new program for them, and this resolution basically authorizes part of the application process for an organization like ourselves. Means we have to have a resolution saying that we can go ahead and do something like this. That's essentially what this is. The deadline for applications is October 18th. So we will actually have another CDA meeting before that deadline. Are you sharing screen for Renee? Thank you. And at that meeting, I'd like to bring a draft of a potential program. I did attend a webinar that WEDC put on about this program. it was kind of their one and only webinar about it for all the communities. So it was heavily attended throughout the state, which it is a competitive program. So we're going to want to put something pretty strong together. I did also have a meeting with our regional economic development director from WEDC earlier this week to just kind of run some ideas by him, let him know that we have interest in submitting. So there's a number of different criteria. Collaboration is a big factor for the grant program. Having experience running an existing program like our revolving loan program is a big scoring factor. And this is a fairly, like I said, this is a fairly boilerplate resolution, and we'll get a draft before you in October, but I wanted to also take this opportunity to run a concept by you all and get some initial feedback. One of the things that in my role, both with the CDA and the village, that I kind of bounce back and forth on and is a little bit of a challenge is small business support, not just in DeForest, but also we have very close municipal boundaries with Windsor. There are businesses that are located in Windsor, which are literally like 50 feet from the DeForest border, which benefit all our residents. And so it's something that I've had discussions with my counterpart in the Village of Windsor, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, and how do we be a little bit more collaborative in small business support across both municipalities. I completely understand that neither municipality, our taxpayer dollars should go towards businesses within our boundaries. I get that. As a CDA, to a large degree, we operate without taxpayer dollars, or could going forth without taxpayer dollars. So I would like to pitch to you tonight, potentially partnering with Windsor's Community Development Authority to put together a program. We would be the primary applicant. It would be sort of it would be a complementary piece to our loan program, offering grants to small businesses within a defined geographic area, which would include both communities. Likely it would be mostly our quote unquote downtown redevelopment areas, and then potentially also some of Windsor's downtown and redevelopment areas. And we would basically have a subcommittee. This is all kind of not stream of consciousness, but it's very rough outline of what this might look like. A subcommittee potentially comprised of representatives from both CDAs that would evaluate projects. Obviously, we've got our partner partners, I guess, that are with our program too. So they may also be a part of that subcommittee. And then we would probably have to structure proportional amounts of the grant that would go to each community based on either, well, I don't know what it'd be based on at this point. Potentially geographic boundaries, potentially the number of businesses. There could be a number of different ways that grant funds could get allocated. And part of the thought here, obviously the partnership and being responsive to all businesses is a big piece of it. One of the other things is WEDC wants to see a program that has longevity and scalability. So they want to see something that after grant funds are expended will continue. So if that were to be the case, there would need to be some kind of an agreement between both community development authorities to say, hey, we're both going to potentially contribute funds after year 2 of this program is done. Funds are supposed to be expended within the first 18 months. There's a little bit of a leeway after that. But that's kind of where I'm thinking. I have talked with Jamie Rabarchik, who's my counterpart in Windsor yesterday or Wednesday. Yesterday is Wednesday. Just briefly to see if it was something that he thought, maybe there was support over there. Their board meets October 8th, I believe. So just before our next one. And depending on how you all feel about it, he would run it by their board as well. So I'm going to leave that there. There are certainly other options. If you all say, you know what, it's probably too much to try to coordinate or whatever, we can certainly go it alone too. But I think it would be a really powerful grant application, personally.
Becca?
Let her go first.
Oh,
Her go
I'm sorry.
first.
Go ahead.
No, her hand was actually up
All right. You maybe answered my question at the end. The benefits of doing this would be, we think it would be looked at more favorably as a grant application with the collaboration? Are we eligible for additional funds because of the joint application?
So I do think it'd be viewed more favorably. That is pretty clear from my conversations with our rep there too, is that idea of more collaboration is viewed highly. To the other piece of it, say the other piece of it again.
Are we eligible for more funding?
Yeah, so the awards range between 50,000 and 250,000. The stronger application you get, the higher the award you get. So, but it is capped at 250,000.
I'm intrigued. I'm actually very intrigued by the suggestion that you've made. I would really like to explore that. I think we would have to definitely structure it really and put strong boundaries around it, but to protect us, but also to protect Windsor. But they do have a CDA, correct? Okay. In terms of, so this is grant money. Would we be using it as grants to small businesses? Or would we be using it and to supplement like our loan program? But it's not where they would be paying back. I'm assuming we would put, again, parameters around the terms of the grant.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be modeled roughly off of our existing program. So some of the terms would be similar. You could do it a number of different ways. They could be strictly grant funds not to be repaid. They can be funds that are revolving, right, at maybe 0% interest loans, those types of things in order to keep the ball rolling, so to speak. So the program details are very, very broad, and they're leaving it open to any applicant to be as creative as they can be. The only caveats with that are it can't charge, so we can't like charge administrative fees. We can't charge application fees, which we currently do for our loan program. So it'd have to be sort of a separate bucket. 100% of the funds that we would receive from an award have to be passed through to the businesses. That was a big, like, all caps.
That's interesting. So they don't allow for administrative fees. We have to do those on our own or together with,
You're not gonna get anything.
The program.
well,
the
if we're going to be
program-
doing anything with them, they're going to have to pony up at least a little bit,
Say that again?
as far as administrative fees.
Charge to a business or to
No,
an applicant?
no. As far as like administrative fees, as far as the time involved,
Correct.
your
Yep.
guys' work, their
No.
work, whoever is coordinating, the paperwork, the paper that it's printed on, whatever it might be. But I mean, if we're going to do something, again, my only caveat as far as my interest in this is that strong structure to it so that it's very clear that I don't want to end up us bearing all of the burden of the cost and them getting a lot of benefits with no cost. Does that make sense?
Are you saying that if we
As
partner
in
with
the other
Gotcha. Yes,
municipality.
understood.
It
Yeah.
needs to be, like you were saying earlier, proportional.
Yep, no, the administrative fees piece that I was talking to is strictly related to the businesses. So we can't
Oh,
we
got it.
can't take any of the grant funds and use those to pay administrative costs from our side. It has to be 100% passed through the business. I guess technically, according to program guidelines, we could charge an application fee or administrative fees to a business that was applying. However, the response when I asked that question was that would probably not be viewed very favorably by the scoring
Right.
committee. So it seemed pretty clear that they would not be looking to charge those.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that part. I was just wanting to make sure that I understood kind of, and that you understood my viewpoint.
We got it.
Thanks.
I've worked collaboratively with Windsor on a number of programs. And let me just say that the one program we worked together on was the tax on rooms and things and how to spend that money. And well, Windsor wasn't too bad. Vienna was very difficult to work on that program. And nobody really wanted to share their funds. Vienna demanded the money all go through them. So I mean, you have to have a structure, but there's also the reality that it's a difficult thing to get them to pony up resources. And the flip side of all of that is when I've testified on behalf of DeForest at Assembly and Senate hearings, they laugh at us. And are, you know, as interrelated as we are, and the fact that we're not one community. So seeing us come in on things jointly, Bob and I have talked about it with the fire station, and the community center, those sorts of things. It is well received at a state level. So I think there's value in doing it and I support it. I just don't want us to think that it's, and particularly because their budget is not in good shape right now. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of resources out of them, if that's what you were hoping.
And that's, yeah, and that's why I,
Sorry, no, I was not hoping for that. I was just wanting to make sure if there is a cost involved with
yeah.
the processing of everything, that it's proportionally shared.
Yep, understood. That's, I mean, to your point too, that's why I thought maybe this was an opportunity to take it outside of the municipal realm and to bring it to two separate organizations with the CDAs. But also I will say that the last thing I want to do is create a program that is well-intentioned and then have it go south while we've got the program and have sort of, you know, anything happening. So if that's a risk, then, you know, maybe that should be a consideration too, but.
I think it's a good idea.
So I think the resolutions in front of you for the next meeting, I'll probably, depending on how the conversations with Windsor go, either bring back two draft proposals, one as a joint, and then one if we were to go alone, or if they opt not to do a joint, I'll probably just bring a separate proposal.
Good. So you don't need us to vote tonight? You do, okay. Oh, vote to apply. You're right. Thank you.
I would move that we vote in favor of applying.
Good. Do we have a second?
I second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion or comment? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Alex. That's a great opportunity. All right, item 6.3. Wisconsin, or Section 18 transition update.
Yep, so our regular scheduled programming here, we did hold the meeting, or excuse me, WIDA did hold the briefing meeting with our residents on August 22nd to explain the transition with the vouchers and to hand out paperwork. I think we only had 7 individuals that did not attend that, so it was good turnout. Those who did not attend that will need to attend another meeting on September 26th when WIDA is back in town to do our housing quality inspections at our facilities. They'll also hold the briefing then. I think I may have mentioned at the last meeting, we'll have all new contracts in place with residents starting, all new leases in place starting November 1st. So we actually sent out a notice to all of our residents this week saying that we will be terminating their leases October 31st. According to our current leases, we have to give 30-day notice to all of our residents saying that we're going to terminate the lease. We tried to make it very clear in those notices that this is just a formality and that nobody's getting evicted. We're not kicking anybody out. And so far, I haven't heard anybody concerned. I don't know, Jay's shaking his head too. So far, so good. Jay and I have been working with residents to help them with some of the paperwork. The case managers at Cornerstone Community Center have also been helping them. So that's been huge. It has been a bit of a slow process, but we do have, we're trying to get everybody taken care of by next Friday. They have until the end of the month to submit their paperwork, and that should give us enough time to kind of, if there's any back and forth, if WIDA needs additional information, we can kind of track that down. We also have we had our legal team put together all the closing documents for the transaction, which is scheduled for October 24th. And that's essentially the CDA selling our facilities to the LLC. Those documents are now in the Milwaukee field office's hands for review. Hopefully we get a speedy review, but we'll see. And that's kind of where we're at.
Right. Right. Thank you. Any questions on that? It's hard to believe we've gotten this far. It's taken a long time. All right. Here I am with a pen that's leaking. Not good. All right, old business, there is none. Reports, Housing Division, Jefferson Square update.
So in your packets are financials for both July and August. I don't think we had financials at the last meeting, so you see both months there. From my perspective, I was just talking with Jay a little bit before the meeting here. This was kind of a slower summer in terms of activity on the financial statement, so not a whole lot to report here on Jefferson Square. Any questions?
What was the balance? Can you go down again?
Down. So currently on the operations side, we're sitting at a net of just under 13,000. And then on the capital side, which is unit turns and those types of things, it's in the red by 2,200. And we do have a turn underway for 720. And then we're expecting that unit to close October 7th, I think. So we'll get life lease revenue coming in for that, which will turn that substantially in the black again. And I know it's tiny, so let me zoom in there. Sorry. Where's the zoom? Oh. So bottom line numbers, operations were running pretty good. Capital we're running under, and that's mostly just because we haven't had the unit turn funds coming in yet. And this is looking at the August statement, which is the most recent one.
So you're saying that by October 7th, we will be,
October 7th, and here, I'll give it to Carol.
I was just gonna point out, so you've got 86,000 in expenses.
Right,
The units that have turned over, but we don't have the revenue side of those yet because we haven't filled them. So once we get the revenue for the sale on those units, you'll definitely see this looking better.
okay,
Bottom line will look better.
all right.
yeah, and that new life lease revenue is 282,000. So that number will go from negative 2250 to 280 in the positive.
Only a portion of it is revenue. The
Right.
rest of it sits in a liability account,
Yes,
but
but
yeah,
technically.
get better.
Basically. All right. Other questions, Rebecca? No? All right. Moving along then. Thank you. Do you need any action on those?
Nope. For the public housing financials, again, fairly similar. I will say two things that I'd like to point out, which are not really reflected in this statement per se. Again, you'll have both July and August here. When Zach left, he was authorized by HUD to do drawdowns of our operating fund and capital fund from HUD. I was not. I've been trying to get access for months and I finally did get access. So you'll see where is it? The operating subsidy, we've received $3,600 from HUD for that. We should have just had that processed yesterday, finally. So we'll be getting another 21,000 that we basically have just been operating without since Zach left. So that'll be a good piece. We do owe 25,000 to Dimension Development, Tom Landgraf, for our Section 18 consulting. I was embarrassed, but was going to make a payment to him and then realized that we had not got our operating subsidy. And so I have yet to pay him. So that will happen later this year, likely after November 1st when we get new lease revenue. But it is definitely a good point of reflection to just show why it's important that we're making this transition, if for nothing else than financial reasons.
Well, that happened with the housing authority, right? Landgraf or not?
Said
Money, did you owe them? Where is that?
that was, what do you mean that happened with?
Well, I'm not asking what happened, but that goes way back.
Right, yeah, the contract was in place before I even came on board. Yep.
There were two parts to that, though.
Yep.
They didn't bill us right away. And sort of when they got all done, they let us know that we owed them $50,000.
Okay.
And you know, the shape the housing authority was in. I mean, I literally almost had to pick Keith up off the floor. It was not pretty, so.
No, it wasn't.
They may have restructured the contract after that point because the contract that I've been operating under had a $25,000 payment when we submitted the application, which we did make last year. It was last year. Oh. And then a $25,000 final payment upon approval of the application, which we've received.
So we're not far off.
No, we're not far off, and they're great. They understand and they've been very easy on this.
That's actually what I was gonna ask, was, are they being okay about it?
Yeah.
Good.
They are.
All right. So moving on.
For the housing unit update. The wait lists have stayed roughly the same. This is slightly outdated now, as of this week. So for public housing, the two unoccupied units are 114 and 119 at 509. Tomorrow we'll be potentially signing a lease to fill 114, and then on Monday, potentially signing a lease to fill 119. So both of those will be occupied by next Monday. 720, as Derek and Jay can tell you, the turn is underway. Jay's been managing that process. We have a closing date October 7th. 714 is the other unit that Derek was alluding to, and the resident did move out on August 19th. And that will be the first turn that Attic Angel does. Is there anything to add to any of that?
We didn't ask the question when he was here, but one question I had with Attic Angels was, do you two have any issues with them that we should be aware of?
You know, at this point, it's been just a lot of coordination. I think all three of us sitting on this side have had a number of interactions with their team to try to get things going. Financial side of things, I think we feel pretty decent about. We're just signing to get them onto our accounts today. I know Jay's been coordinating with Demery and Derek and probably, I don't know, 6 other people over there. So I'll let him speak to some of that.
They've been really good. Every time that we've had any kind of a issue, settled it really quickly, which is good. And I think most of this is kind of brought on by the fact that we couldn't really move forward until, the last meeting, and with the inability to get materials and such, passed back and forth, not knowing whether it was going to be approved, has just left us, behind. But we're making progress every day, and everybody that I've talked to is in the community has been received it pretty well. No one's had a lot of apprehension about it, and I just conveyed to Derek and Demery today that, as long as we continue the communication, and it shouldn't be any, there's no issues over there that are too big to resolve, so.
Yes, Rebecca.
You brought up a question in my mind that I hadn't even thought of before. So they're in charge over there now. What do we have set up, if anything, for lines of communication with the residents should issues arise that they can't get resolved?
Yeah, so pertaining specifically to their services, basically?
Yeah, their services, their maintenance,
Yeah.
you know, turnovers, whatever.
Yeah, so and that's something that I feel like I discussed with somebody, I don't know, not too long ago. There's not really a formal spelled out grievance process for residents over there outside of what they may have done if, like when Zach was managing or when Zach and Jay were kind of running the show over there, right? So if a resident had an issue with either of those two, they could either reach out to me or come to one of these meetings. But I don't think we really have a formal grievance policy associated with Jefferson Square. We do for public housing because that's just part of the mandate over there.
Right.
We can certainly look at doing something like that, or I could informally communicate. I just also worried that I think most of our residents understand who to come to. That could be an assumption, a gross assumption on my part, but I hesitate because my reluctance is if you open that door, we might get quite a few, just because that's the nature of the beast. And that may, maybe that's okay and we just triage it as it comes, but there's nothing formal in place.
Yeah, and that's probably fine. I just wanted to know because, I mean, if an issue does arise that we're not aware of, that's something I think we should be aware of.
Yeah.
Just so that we can nip things earlier in the bud rather than letting them
Yeah,
grow into beasts.
and it could
And I'm
be-
not anticipating that happening. I'm just thinking ahead.
It could be something to, as we continue to monitor it, where I could ask Attic Angel, like, hey, do you guys usually have a process in place to hand it to them to say, and I would think that'd be something they'd be supportive of from a customer service standpoint. Hey, residents that we manage your facility, if you're not happy with our services, here's who to call. Kind of like one of those stickers on the back of trucks you see. If you don't like my driving, call this number,
I would just say though that the interactions that I've had with Derek and Demery, I think they're gonna own anything that's going on with this transition. Residents aren't gonna be afraid to let me or Alex know if they aren't liking something that's going on, of course. But at least they have been saying all the right things as far as how they're gonna be handling these situations that they know are coming. Again, that's one of the benefits of having these guys on board is that they have other communities, they've dealt with all of this stuff before, maybe even more so than Alex or I have. So I think that's a huge benefit.
Yes.
I was just wondering if you have any plans to do like a one-time check-in a little bit down the line with the residents, just to, I mean, it could even be joint with them, just how are things going? That might be a way to help in the transition and yeah, it might be less of an issue, but yet an opportunity for them to feel heard.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I do too. I do agree with Alex's comment, though. I mean, my experience over the last 10 years is that they know how to find us.
Yeah.
They know the structure and they don't hesitate to call. And so it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but we can make sure that they know it. And at one point, I was trying to think when this was. It was quite a while ago. I was at a party at the community room over at Jefferson Square. I thought there was something posted in the office about it. If you have a concern, here's who you call. Wasn't there? Yeah, Keith is shaking his head, yes.
I don't think there's anything in there that looks like that now. That room hasn't been used very much in, well, at least in the time that I've been here, so. Other than lease ups for Zach.
So they're also at Parkside, right?
Yes.
Do the people over here, do they also go to Parkside, or is it a separate group of people that do Parkside?
There definitely is some overlap. Demery, who Derek was referring to, I don't think is at Parkside. I think she's also at Oakmont in Verona. So I'm not sure what the overlap is with Parkside. I think it may just be Derek.
But they're getting good reviews over there, aren't they? Yeah,
Yeah, yep.
good. Renee, do you have anything on these reports?
I don't.
Okay, you're quiet tonight, but I'm glad you're here. All right, 8.2, redevelopment, unless you had something else on that. Redevelopment Division financial update was in your packet. It looks like we're doing okay. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. There's not a whole lot of activity, just some legal fees associated with some of the redevelopment activities. Outside of that, nothing.
Okay. And then we've got 8.3 Prudential Investment. There was a monthly statement in your packet. Did anybody have questions on that?
Only just to say it's looking good.
Yeah.
I know.
Carol, don't tell me that. Now she's gonna be saying there's no Santa Claus, you know? All right, here we go. All right. Communications, I don't have any, so I would entertain a motion to convene into closed session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Menke,
Here.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Witherspoon,
Yes.
Commissioner Buheim,
Yes.
Chairperson Cahill Wolfgram.
Yes. I'm such a klutz, I trip over everything. We are in open now, okay. So, our action resulting from closed session is a discussion regarding potential condemnation of the car wash, what is it, 420 North Main?
420 North Main. Yep.
I was hearing in closed, pretty strong consideration of that being the move to take. So, I would ask, is there any further discussion or questions?
How do you go about getting a hold of them? I guess that's the biggest thing.
Yep. So let me just kind of lay out a little bit of the steps here that would be occurring with this. So tonight we'd be looking to potentially take action to authorize myself to basically move forward with drafting a relocation plan for DeForest Car Wash LLC, which is the property owner in question. After that document, which is required by, again, the Department of Administration, that will need approval by DOA before we can do anything past that point. But after that's put together, our next steps would be to order an appraisal of the property so that we can basically come to our own idea of what fair market value might be, what a fair offer would be. And then we'd use that to start the condemnation process and basically put forth what's called a jurisdictional offer. To your question, Keith, about how do we get a hold of an unresponsive property owner, that's something that if I knew the answer to that now, we probably would have also already got a hold of them. But I will also say that I can imagine that we're not the only people or organization to have ever faced this challenge with an unresponsive property owner. So I'm not certain, but I would think that there's probably language in state statute and in this process that might dictate what we're supposed to do in those situations.
some of the language will be in how you serve someone with
Right.
notice. And it can be as simple, if they don't answer,
Yep.
as attaching it to their door.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, there's different forms of service of process. It's just according to the situation and what jurisdiction it is. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, this is a big step. It's not being done lightly, or even being considered lightly. This has been an ongoing issue for quite a long time with absolutely no response from either, or well, from the property owner. And this has been, even when we've had multiple attempts trying, multiple people trying to get in touch with them. And the property is in heavy decline, and frankly, it's not safe. So, as anybody would know, I don't like doing stuff like this. Normally I'm very much against it, but in this situation, we've got to do something. And I don't see any other avenue at this point in time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're at this point because it had positive interactions with the property owner probably even a year ago now. So this has been something that's obviously been ongoing for a while, and just would have hoped for a different result.
So are there any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to authorize Alex to further explore and to begin the condemnation process.
Well, actually, what we'd be looking for tonight, if you could pull up the thing on screen, please, would be specific to drafting a relocation plan. What's that?
Oh, just that language there.
Yep,
Just the language is on there.
that's correct. So we'd be looking for a motion to
It's
authorize.
not on my
It's not
agenda.
on my. There.
It's on the back.
Oh. I would move that we authorize the CDA Executive Director to take any necessary actions to draft a relocation plan for DeForest Car Wash Limited Liability Company.
All right. And is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I know that's a big thing for us to do. It's not fun, and I don't think any of us want to be deal with others who get nervous over it, but we got to do, as Rebecca said, we need to do something. So, okay. Well, now that I know there's page 2. Item 13 is the next meeting is October 10th, 2024. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Keith. Is there a second?
A second.
Or second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:29 PM. That's a good thing. I'm.
Hi, Renee.
What's that?